Hello and welcome to a very special episode of We Have a Meeting Trench Tips. It's very special because today we're going to give you a countdown. We're going to talk about the top 5 things that salespeople get wrong in discovery calls. So we've
Ooh,
got a little list of things. What's in your top 5, Zach?
you.
Stop it. So we've made a list and we're going to break down a lot of the places where people are going wrong in discovery calls, meetings. So let's imagine you've made an amazing cold call. Somebody's really involved. They want to sit down and they want to discuss it further. Once you get them on that Teams, Google, or Zoom call, other internet providers are available, other video hosting software, I think. Once you get them there, where are you going wrong? So you might be a salesperson, an AE, a business owner, and these are the top 5. So it's time to be self-aware and see if anything you do is in our top 5.
Let's do it.
So, and any words before we start?
No words, but bloody hell. What a list. I thought we were supposed to be making sales gay again.
Where's your T-shirt for all the people watched on YouTube?
I don't want to
You
wear
need
I
that
don't want to
on.
get I don't want to get arousal, and these kind of calls don't always go well.
No. Was there a reason you got an extra small T-shirt as well? Or have you just been working out? Okay. Anyway, let's. This is quite fitting actually. The first one, the big mistake where people are going wrong on discovery calls. My pet hate. It's small talk.
Ooh, okay, interesting one. When you say small talk, what do you mean?
Well, can we do a role play and I'll be a bad salesperson and you can be a prospect, okay? So
Okay.
we've got on the call, it
hmm
flashes up and I go, "Hello, Zach. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Are you
What
okay?
about this? Yeah, I'm great. I'm great. I thought you'd never ask. What about this weather we've been having, eh? It's been.
Oh,
How hot has it been?
it's been absolutely weather out there, isn't it?
It's been a lot of the weather at the moment. Do you
Yeah.
usually enjoy the weather?
I've been known to from time to time. I'll put it this way, I exist.
Wow. Okay. And guess what? It might also rain one time.
And yeah, if it does, things are known to get wet, and yeah, and I experience those as a conscious being.
Okay. Next thing you know, 7 minutes has flown by, and all you've done is talk about the weather. So many
Mm.
people get into these calls and just talk about the most boring things. Can you think of any examples where you've had boring small talk or
Well,
someone's
I can
tried
give
to
you an
make it with you?
example of things that happen. Okay, so small talk, often what the issue is people think that that is building rapport. Okay,
Mm,
so something that might happen is we might be following a process, right? It's all about the other person, trying to make it all about the other person, and they say something about rock climbing or something that they did, and our ego kicks in because we also do rock climbing. And you think, if I tell them I do rock climbing, we both relate to each other and like each other, then I'll get the deal. And before you know it, you've forgotten where you are and you've ended up talking about rock climbing. And I say this from experience. I once took my guitar to a sales meeting because I was practicing with a band after I'd finished this meeting, and this guy was telling me all about music and how he was a struggling producer as well on the side and had aspirations of being a musician. We just talked about music the whole time. He gave me a quick demo, but it wasn't really like the way I'd normally do it because I was giving it to him more in a pally way. And he was like, "Yeah, definitely another fellow musician. Of course, I'd work with you." Next week, I called him back to find out what the decision was. And he was just like, "Yeah, I went with another provider. They seemed like they understood our problems better. They were the right price point and they could integrate with our existing systems." Oh, but I was a musician as well. Like that, what that didn't matter. And actually, it probably held me
yeah,
back and got in my way. Me trying to build that small talk and rapport into the chat.
yeah. It wouldn't have mattered. You could have been Ed Sheeran walking in there, giving him a demo, and he still wouldn't have bought.
Exactly.
Anyway,
Edge Sheeran, I call him.
Ed Sheeran. So small talk. So many people get that wrong. There are a few things. There are a few different questions that I ask, or a few different statements that I'll say to avoid small talk. But hey, this call is not about giving away all the secrets. So
No,
this might be a good
here's the
opportunity to talk.
well. I think the thing is right. if you take that away from someone and they're like, how do I build rapport? And that's the question to ask. Not what small talk do I incorporate to build rapport. It's if I took that away from the conversation, is there a way to then build rapport? And not only that, but build it even better and more effectively. And the answer is yes, there is.
And how do I find out what that is?
Great question. You heard of Ainsley Harriott?
The chef from Ready Steady Cook.
Yeah. Well, get ready to ready, steady, fuck. Because what I'm about to tell you is...
What don't you understand about this podcast? You know, before we do it, and I say, listen, we've got a PG audience. The majority of our audience are 12-year-olds on YouTube. We come under the Minecraft,
that's a different
Roblox.
Podcast. That's the Minecraft podcast.
Yeah.
For the salespeople, we're hosting an event on the 27th of September at 5 p.m. UK time. And what we'll be doing is answering how to solve that problem. I don't want to do small talk anymore. I'm bound by it. I'm talking about the weather. I'm talking about what the Manchesters did on the weekend when they were scoring bloody goals at each other's nets. Right? And I'm hoping that gets me a sale, and it's not. And actually, the guy doesn't even like me after I've done it.
I know. Ready, steady, fuck. Anyway, we'll see you there. Tickets are only £55, but let's move on. Number 2 on my list. It's a hard one, but it's working to a salesperson's timeline. What might I mean by that, Zach?
I disagree with you actually on that. I think we should always be working towards a salesperson's timeline. Who gives a shit about the prospect? It's all about the salesperson.
I think you're wrong.
Well, maybe we should break up.
Okay, well, I'm going to take my half of the business and go and sit over there.
Well, I'm going to take my half of the business and drown you in it.
Oh, sexy.
Okay. No, I don't disagree with you at all.
Yeah, when I was bringing it up, I think a lot about bant. I don't mean jovial jokes in the pub with the lads. That's banter. You're getting confused. Bant. Budget, authority, need, and timeline. Questions for a salesperson. So sticking to a salesperson's timeline, like, I'll give you a discount if you get this over before next quarter. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And if you think about even the way CRMs are set up, it's always like based on the salesperson's timeline rather than what the actual buying steps probably are. So it's not entirely the salesperson's fault. The culture breeds it. They are a byproduct of the sales culture. But I would ask people, if someone told you to buy something because it would help them, or try to force you in it clearly because the outcome was to their benefit, what conclusion would you come to, Jack?
I think it's, as Simon Cowell would say, it's a no from me.
Exactly. So what we're looking to do is implement strategies and techniques that make it all about the other person, all about their expectations, all about their timeline, and all about guiding them to a yes or a no. I think it over might do, if you do a discount, I'll do it, all that sort of stuff is a clear sign that you have ready, steady, fucked it up.
I like that. Okay. And can I ask you a question?
No. Yeah, no, sorry, of course you can. Sorry, that's the other podcast, isn't it?
I don't think you're going to like this next question.
Oh, okay. Ask it me then. Let's find out.
If you were a swan, whose arm would you snap first?
Great question. Yours.
Okay.
But
and that rolls into number 3. But
not for a bad reason, because I think there's growth in overcoming obstacles, and I think you'd learn a valuable lesson from having a broken arm.
Wow. Marcus Aurelius in Dorset, that's what they call you. Marcus, no, there's no pun there.
It's all right.
Number 3 was bad questions. Bad
Yeah,
question, and that might not have been such a bad question, but bad questions are always being asked on sales calls by
yeah.
salespeople. What's the worst sales question that you've ever heard?
I don't like those questions when it's like, what do you think the main benefit would be of using our solution?
Hmm.
Or what's the impact been on you and the business?
Hmm.
And the way I think of them is, and I always ask people this when we do training and stuff, are those questions that you would ask in real life if one of your friends or family came to you with a problem? Is that the question you'd ask? And what do you think the answer always is?
Hmm. I feel like a lot of salespeople ask questions as if they are a judge on the X Factor. Like they're sat there and they go, "Okay, Mr. Prospect, and if you hit your 1 million monthly returning revenue, what would that mean to you?"
Mm.
Well, it would mean that I've hit 1 million. Oh my god, my dream! I got a record label and I got to do a duet with Leona Lewis. It's not like that.
Have you ever seen that Lee Mack stand up where he's talking about cold callers? And he's like, I got a
No.
cold call from an energy company. And they were like, Mr. Mack, how would you feel if you woke up tomorrow and you had cheaper energy bills? And he said, can I be honest? I feel exactly the same, but I'd have cheaper energy bills.
There you go. I love it.
And it always, like,
I
when
love
people
it.
asking me on, we're on discovery calls and stuff, I always think, I wish you'd asked me that because now we have this awkward interaction. Like, how would it make you feel? It would make me feel good. Now what?
I think you should just stop there. It would make me feel,
Yeah,
and that's
look,
enough.
leave it with the singers. You make me feel good. All right.
Okay, beautiful. Number four, because it's just emotion, baby. I feel like a lot of salespeople, when they're in those calls and they're driving towards it, they lack emotion. And
Mm,
I don't mean that they're not sat there crying or they're not in touch with their feminine side. I mean, like, people are getting a lack of emotion. We
yeah.
all know that the emotional part of the brain drives decisions and buying behavior, but there's so much logical conversation in sales
Mm.
calls where really you should be trying to get that emotion out.
Very, very common with technical products and or software. What people have is a very, very technical, nice conversation about, solving a manual process problem because there's a fear of asking the tough question there. And the
Mm,
tough question, I might give you one. That's a tough question. Why have you never fixed this before if it's such a big problem? And most
mm,
salespeople would rather imagine what life would be like if you had this in place. It would completely save the day, rather than saying, if you've got this far without it, incorporating big change into your business, why would you be motivated to do that? That sounds like a nightmare.
mm. Why do you think salespeople are scared to ask those questions?
It's a good question. I think there's a attachment to a commission target or validation from senior people, or maybe I don't know the model of like SDR to AE. You don't want the person who's booked you the meeting to be like, I could have done a better job, and that creates friction. So there's a lot of
Mm,
external factors, and you think if I risk it, and the outcome is someone says, "How dare you?" and they disappear and never speak to you again, it's that loss aversion. So it's much easier to have a nice airy fairy conversation that ends in maybe I'll get back to you
mm.
than just a hard yes or no. It's like you always say, you can't lose what you never had.
Exactly. I think you'll probably be on the same page as this one, but I've had a lot of people messaging me. That sounds like a LinkedIn status already, doesn't it? I've had a lot of people messaging me saying,
About your
"What's your
outfit.
secret? I hope you
Yeah.
look so good."
Yeah.
But people message me and say like I really like the methodology that you guys talk about, and it's similar to Sandler, Gap Selling, all the good stuff that we talk about. But I've tried to implement it, and my manager or my team have kind of deserted it, or they don't get it, or they don't stick with it. And there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people that feel fearful to actually try this because of like maybe the tribe that they belong in. They're going to get rejected because it is a little bit different.
Yeah.
What would you say to those people?
I'd say you need to have a very, very clear understanding of how persuasion works. And it's not as obvious as you think. If it was as obvious as you think it is, when I'm on my way to walk to my car after work tonight, someone could come up to me and say, look at this amazing laptop. So good. It's got all these features. It's just, honestly, I actually can't believe how good it is. I was just walking down the street with it in tears at how good this laptop is. And I go, oh my God, really? I must buy it. I must buy it off you in the street right now. But what would really happen if someone came up to you in the street and started trying to sell you something because they thought it was amazing, they thought it was great? You'd say, sling your hook, or you might be more polite than that and say, oh, actually, I haven't got any money on me right now. There's no scenario where if you did that where someone would go, fucking hell, what? Oh my God, let me go and get some money out for you. That would just never ever happen. But by the laws that most people think persuasion works, you could do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Bizarre,
So you need to understand how persuasion works. And really, it's not about can I persuade someone, but it's can I take someone on a journey where they persuade themselves.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant. Very nicely said. And you know what? In that little monologue that you gave me there, you sound like a man who's had a TV sold to him in a service station before. That's all I'm saying.
Look, it wasn't a TV, okay?
It wasn't a service station.
It was an 18-inch marriage ender. The
right,
TV.
You really are breaking all the rules.
The TV.
You really don't give a damn anymore. What about all this brand, a reputation thing?
I'm a beaver. I don't give a damn.
Right, number 5 on the list. I bet you can't guess what it is.
Cocaine.
The reason, it's probably up there as the reason most salespeople are fucking up discovery calls. I agree.
Because they're pathetic.
Drugs aren't cool. Just say no. Grain chill, you know. Number 5 on my list is pitch slapping.
Oh, yes.
Benefits. Getting in there from the off, sitting someone down and saying, look at me. I had a call the other day where someone said, what do you think? This is how I usually do discovery calls. And they pulled up a PowerPoint. And the first slide said, my story. My, we, I. Okay? What's the subject's favourite? What's the prospect's favourite subject?
Themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've had the exact same experience.
The first thing you're doing.
I've had the same thing. Sorry, I was when I was doing some training with someone, and they went, right, this is how the discovery call works. I was like, what did we agree on before? Like the prospect, what's the favourite subject? That's themselves. Yeah. Okay, so that first 10 minutes, who's that about? Right. Yeah. Okay.
But how else are they going to know how good we are and how many awards we won? How else are they going to know? You can't tell somebody that you're a good listener. You've just got to listen to them. There's one thing that Brad Burton said that I like, and it was like, don't tell me you're funny. There's only one thing that Brad Burton said that I
going to catch you on that. Cut that out.
Yeah. Don't tell me you're funny. Make me laugh. I think that's brilliant. It's like, you can't just go up to somebody in a bar and say like, I am really sick at shagging.
Yeah, Gary Vee, on every podcast you see Gary Vee, and he's always telling people how humble he is. If you stop telling people how humble you are, you're not humble, are you?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Exactly. I'm probably, if there was an award show, I'm the most humble person ever. I'd win an award for it. Yeah, but that's not humble, is it, saying that?
Sorry, did somebody say the modest leader of the year 2024?
I can't accept it. Someone else better have it.
I couldn't.
No one accepted the award.
I've already had to.
Trying to give it away, but no one wants
it. That's it. We have a meeting, present to the Modesty Awards 2024. I like it. If you want to sponsor that award, if you're a big SaaS company, send us a message. But yeah, pitch slapping, features and benefits. People just go in so heavy on the look what we can do, look what we've done. Like there's a formula. There should be a formula that you follow for every single discovery call. It shouldn't be that you're going into it for different people. Like you want to go in prepared. There shouldn't be a feeling of like uncertainty around it, but you've got to go in and you've got to know your numbers and know what you do. And any thoughts on that, Kaz?
Well, say it to me again.
Did I say it well or not?
No, just say. I want to be clear.
Go on, ask me a question. Ask me a clarifying question then.
What do you mean?
Okay. I can't even remember what the original point that I was saying then was. I'm basically saying being prepared for a discovery call. There's a formula to it. Whereas 1 month, you might go in, you might smash it, and you hit 200% of quota. You sit the exact same meeting, the exact same number of meetings the next month, but you get 50%. Why?
Yeah, you need to have. I don't think this is what salespeople want to hear sometimes because they might not be like creative. Any means necessary for the right price. I'm like a stripper at 3 a.m. Anything's possible, right?
Cute.
But yeah, I feel like that. But the reality is, what you need if you really want success is a repeatable, predictable process, because then you're going to get repeatable, predictable results. So you need to know, if I guide someone through this process, it's going to take me X amount of time roughly, and here's going to be the points that happen. Here's the potential questions I'm going to get. Here's my responses. And at the end, I'm going to end up with a very clear yes or no. What you don't want to be doing is putting hope into the pipeline, because that's going to start weighing things down. Quickly, your figures aren't going to look as good. And every monthly meeting you have with your boss is going to be like, this is the month that big deal is going to close. This is the month they're going to close. No one likes a hoper. Definitely not shareholders.
I'm going to say it, Zach. I don't actually think that answer was very good.
Oh.
I think it was great.
Whoa! Misdirected.
Okay, so there's some of the things that stand out to me in terms of discovery calls, getting things wrong. There's loads of things that we could talk about when it comes to discovery call. Obviously, we've got our workshop coming up on the 27th, so we don't want to give too much away.
Okay.
Could you give one tip or trick?
Should we sing the song first?
You want to sing a song?
27th of September.
55 pounds ready.
September. 55 pounds ready. Don't spend it on cocaine this week. Buy a ticket instead. Cause if you wanna fuck, it's ready, steady, close.
I thought you'd stopped drinking 5 coffees in the afternoon, sir.
This isn't coffee. This is mental illness.
Okay. Just made me spit on my mic. Okay, good. Can you give one tip or trick to somebody of what they should be doing in a discovery call? Obviously, we talk about all the bad stuff, but I feel like if they've sat through 23 minutes of gibberish so far, they deserve something good to take away.
Focus on... The best way to learn new skills is a method where you take other skills that you naturally lean on away. So a really good one is, if you jump on a discovery call, give yourself a rule where you can add no new information to the call. So for the whole discovery call, you're only going to use information and language that's given to you by your prospect. If you add new information, if there's a bit where there's like, now I'm going to give you my 10-minute spiel on what we do, you've lost. And you might be quite surprised by the results. So how that feels to the other person is you've made everything about them. And decide based on that what you think the potential outcomes are going to be. Even from how does that feel for me as the prospect?
I think it's brilliant. I think it's beautiful. Well,
okay.
I think that's good. I think that's a really good place. I've been intrigued.
I don't think it was good enough, actually. I think it was perfect.
Really get that X Factor vibe in today. I've been looking at the numbers. We're getting a lot of streams at the minute. People are listening. People like what we're saying.
To the podcast?
To the podcast. Oh, wait a minute. Hello.
Who is it?
It's the Modesty Awards. We've won Podcast of the Year.
We can't accept. We
couldn't possibly. But yes, if you are listening, thank you for listening to us jabbering on. We've got some good guests coming up. If there's anybody that you want
Hold on. It's Guinness Book. Hello? Yeah, I am. Wow. You've won it.
What?
Most modest podcast host ever.
Stop it. Stop it. Me and Gary V running for the title. If you enjoy the podcast, people usually say like and subscribe. Don't do that. Don't like and subscribe. If you actually enjoy it, send me or Zach a message just with the words ready, steady, fuck. And that'll mean more to us than any like, subscribe, or comment.
Yeah. I'd like someone to tell me who they'd trust if they woke up in an exotic country naked in a wheelbarrow to get them out of there and get them back home safely, and why they picked them. And I think we should start shouting people out like that, because we don't remind each other enough who we'd lean on and why. And I think in doing so, what we understand is that there's a goal, okay? And you know what that goal is, don't you? It's the only KPI that really you should care about. It's how many people are going to come to your funeral.
Wow. I think I'm going to need to find another co-host before they put you in a home. Being genuinely honest, I think you're very poorly. I think you need to go for a lie down.
You've been very stressed, Mr. Thompson. Let's get you back to bed.
Okay, that's all we have time for. Hope you've enjoyed it. And if you want to join us at the Ready Steady Close, we'll see you on the 27th, 5 p.m, £55, all online. There you go. Thank you very much.
Tell them about Ainsley coming. Oh, God, sorry. Yeah, we'll stop it there.
Don't. Quick, cut it. Stop it.
Cut it.